On this channel in countless videos now, I've hammered home the point that your audio matters. Arguably, having good audio quality is more important than having good video quality. We've looked at many different dynamic and condenser microphones, XLR interfaces, and even software solutions to hopefully improve the quality of your sound. But one thing that I always mention is the actual space, the environment that you're streaming or creating content in plays one of the biggest factors in the sound that your microphone picks up. So in this video, we're going to be talking about acoustic treatment for your setup, which aims to reduce the reverberation and echo of your voice. And we'll be testing 3 different solutions and listening to how much difference they make. And I would know, I've owned and used many of these different types of treatment in my time as a content creator, from the cheap stuff that you can buy from Amazon that I originally had in my old studio setup, all the way up to more expensive panels that I purchased for my new studio. And today, Elgato have introduced their new wave panels, which aim to fit somewhere in the middle. Now, full disclosure, I purchased 2 of these sets of panels with my own money. Those are the cheap Amazon Basics foam panels and the expensive ones that I have up currently from GIK Acoustics. Elgato did send me their wave panels ahead of release for review, but no money changed hands. Elgato gets no input on the production of this video and they don't get to see it before it goes live. This video does have a sponsor though, and that is the Melon live streaming app. Also, it's worth sticking around to the end of the video because I'll be sharing some bonus tips and tricks for anyone looking to improve the acoustics of their setup for free. Let's go. Melon is a new web-based live streaming studio where you can create professional live streams in seconds with no downloads or software needed. You can easily invite guests onto your show by just copying a link. They don't even need an account. And you can of course customize the stream with your own branding, lower thirds, and colors or backgrounds. You can even stream to 4 different platforms simultaneously right from your browser. To get started with Melon, simply visit the link down in the description. So I think it's important to distinguish between sound absorption and sound insulation. Sound absorption is what all of these panels are designed to do, and they actually absorb these sound waves and stop them from reflecting or echoing back into your microphone. What they aren't designed to do is to reduce the noise from sounds that are coming from outside of your room. So if that's the problem you're looking to solve, you'll need to look for sound insulation products, not sound absorption products. So let's start with price. The cheap foam that you can get from places like Amazon typically costs between $30 and $50 for a pack of around 12 to 24 different squares, or around $2 per square. For the pack I got, each square measures just under 10 by 10 inches with a thickness of just 0.4 inches at the base of each pyramid. Elgato's new wave panels come in a kit of 6 larger hexagonal panels for $100, which works out at just under $17 per panel. These are 19 inches wide and 16 inches tall with a thickness of 1.85 inches. Finally, the professional treatment that I got from GIK Acoustics cost me around $500 for 6 panels, or $65 per panel, and they're much larger still at 24 inches wide, 48 inches tall, and 2.6 inches deep. Next, let's talk about mounting these to your wall. For the foam squares, they don't typically come with a way of mounting them to the wall, but quite often recommended is either sticky tabs or like an adhesive spray, both of which I've had some really awful experiences with. In my old studio, I went with the recommended sticky tabs, and although they stayed in place fine, but when it actually came to removing them about 6 months later, they also stripped off some of the paint when I removed them, and I've heard countless other horror stories of people that have used adhesive sprays and really ruined their walls when they've come to remove these foam panels. So instead, what I would recommend doing for these foam panels is mounting them to something thin and lightweight like cardboard, and then mounting the cardboard to your wall using some command strips or something that can be easily removed without damaging the wall. Elgato's wave panels not only come with the foam, but also some plastic frames that are used to mount the panels to a wall, and clips to connect multiple of these frames together in any arrangement. Also included are 2 different mounting options of either screws with roll plugs for non-smooth walls, or adhesive strips for smooth walls, which, similar to command strips, can be removed without damage or marks. The GIK Acoustics panels come with picture wire, so you just need to install a picture hook and then hang them from that hook. They're not solid, so they're really quite surprisingly lightweight. The final thing that we'll look at before jumping into the tests is the materials and design used, as these should really make the notable differences in the amount of reverberation removed. The foam panels that I got from Amazon might describe themselves as thick, high-density foam, but in reality, these panels are pretty flimsy and very, very easy to compress. If they were high density and thick as they promised, they wouldn't be able to pack 24 of these into a package about this big. As I mentioned before, at the thinnest point, these panels are only about 1 centimeter thick, so since they're designed to be mounted directly to the wall, I imagine we'll still hear some reverberation at those thinnest points. You can get these in pretty much any color combinations you want, and you also get different sizes and variations on this pyramid style. Elgato's wave panels use 2 foam layers of varying densities, and overall this feels a lot more high quality. The foam panels sit on these plastic frames which snap together into shape. This offers an air pocket behind the foam to trap additional sound waves. On launch, you can only get the Elgato wave panels in black, but there are plenty of PR images coming out today showing a blue option as well, so hopefully Elgato start to release other colors so you can really customize and hot swap these panels in and out to suit your setup. The GIK acoustics panels differ as they aren't made out of foam and instead feature a rigid rock mineral wool core for better absorption, particularly of lower frequencies. The frames are made from plywood, keeping them lightweight, and similar to Elgato's panels, they offer a big air gap for improved performance. For reference, these panels are roughly twice the thickness of Elgato's, so they definitely do take up more room, and you can get them in pretty much any colors you desire. Right, so on to the testing. Now I'm gonna run 4 different tests here. One with absolutely nothing on my wall so you can hear what my room sounds like with no treatment, and then one for each of the different types of panels. Now, like I mentioned before, there's absolutely no chance I'm going to ruin another wall by directly sticking the foam panels to the wall. So instead, what I've done is I've cut 3 pieces of cardboard to a similar size of the GIK panels, and then I've stuck 8 pieces of the foam to each of the cardboard panels. It goes without saying that the Elgato panels do offer a bit more flexibility in how you want to choose to mount them, and you can sort of design them to suit some kind of aesthetic. The main thing you are trying to achieve is to break up the large flat surface that you are most commonly talking towards. So mounting things around your mouth level makes the most sense, but obviously some aesthetic choices can be made here too. I have no idea what YouTube compression is going to do to the audio here, so I would highly recommend sticking on some headphones if you really want to be able to differentiate between the different results. I'll also be swapping out the Shure SM7B, which is a notably quiet dynamic microphone, for the Rode NT1, which is a more sensitive condenser microphone, which again should help emphasize any differences that can be heard. Right, so let's run the tests. Keep an eye down at the bottom of the screen, which will show you exactly which test I am running, and I'll cut these back to back to back so that you can isolate the differences between the different acoustic treatments. This is how the studio sounds with no acoustic treatment at all. This is how the studio sounds with the cheap Amazon foam panels. This is how the studio sounds with 6 of Elgato's new wave panels. This is how the studio sounds with 12 of the Elgato wave panels installed. This is how the studio sounds with the GIK acoustics panels. This is how the studio sounds with no acoustic treatment at all. This is how the studio sounds with the cheap Amazon foam panels. This is how the studio sounds with 6 of Elgato's new wave panels. This is how the studio sounds with 12 of the Elgato wave panels installed. This is how the studio sounds with the GIK acoustics panels. Right, so let's talk about results. So firstly, the blank walls. I thought, as expected, this sounded pretty awful. It's definitely more noticeable when you use the camera microphone rather than the Rode microphone, which just shows how much of a difference you can make by moving a good microphone close to your mouth. Next step up was the Amazon panels, and not surprisingly really for me, these just didn't really suffice. I'm not surprised that they didn't make much of a difference compared to the blank walls, because I have, as I said at the beginning, used them before and ended up taking them down because I just didn't like the aesthetic and I didn't think they made enough of a difference when compared to just even blank walls. So the next step up was the Elgato wave panels, and especially I think when we went from 6 panels to 12 panels, I could really notice a difference, and that's probably because I've got such a big flat and hard wall behind me, so I really do need that extra coverage. Probably if I played around with the layout a little bit, I could have spaced them out and seen similar results with less panels, but I was lucky enough to be sent 12, so I decided to use all of them up on the wall. Now I know not everybody is going to be able to afford $200 to put 12 of these on your wall, so I reached out to Elgato and actually found out that you can buy the kits of 6 for $100, but they're also going to be selling expansion packs of 2 panels each for $40, so you can kind of get 8 or 10 if you don't need quite as many as 12 for your wall. I've got to be honest, I was kind of dreading having to mount these on my wall and take down the old panels because I thought it was going to be an absolute ball ache, but it was really as simple as they make it out in the video. They're so lightweight that just 2 of those sticky sticky tabs that come included can hold up a panel, and then you can swap and rotate the foam really quite easily once the frames are mounted to the wall. So yeah, it was a really great experience that I wanted to point that out. Finally then we get onto the GIK acoustics panels, which I'd spent an eye-watering amount of money on. And thankfully for me, I feel like there was quite a notable difference even between 12 of Elgato's wave panels and these professional panels. And you'd hope so because they cost over double the price. Now I will say that this was definitely more notable on the camera microphone and maybe less noticeable when you're talking about having a microphone right up close to your mouth, especially when I swap back to the Shure SM7B. I'd expect the differences to be even smaller. But for me, a professional content creator, this is what I do as my full-time job. It was worth the investment, I feel like, especially as Elgato's offering wasn't on the table when I originally moved into the studio and bought the professional solution. So as for what you should do, well, you've got to decide for yourself based on your budget and what your room layout is like. I would probably avoid investing in the cheap Amazon stuff because you're probably going to get 6 months down the line, wish you'd bought something better, and then you've kind of wasted that $30 to $50 and probably ruined some of the paint on your wall as well. So I would probably avoid that. I definitely think that the Elgato wave panels are a good option and probably pretty reasonably priced. They've kind of put themselves right in the middle there with a notable improvement over the kind of foam panels that you get on Amazon, but still not hitting the high price points of professional installation like I have done here, or professional for a studio at least. It's worth pointing out here that if you're quite handy with tools and woodwork and things like that, you could probably build some acoustic treatments similar to these for a lot less of the price. That wasn't me, and obviously I had to get my studio set up quite quickly, so I decided to pay for it, but I know many creators that have built things like this for themselves. No matter which acoustic treatment you end up going for, or even if you end up building some yourself, there are some bonus tips that I've put together for anybody looking to improve any aspect of their stream or content creation audio. Tip number one is if your setup is on a hard floor such as wood or laminate, it can really be beneficial to put down a thick rug if you have one. Just anything that you can do to break up that hard surface that's beneath you will help reduce the reverb and echo. Tip number two is if you are facing or if you have a window nearby, glass is a super reflective surface as well. So if you can close curtains, that will help reduce the reverberation and echo of your voice, and it'll also help make that lighting more consistent for your webcam. Tip number three is to make sure you either choose or set your microphone up to use a cardioid pickup pattern if you can, and make sure that you're speaking into the right side of it. Now the cardioid pickup pattern is the one that looks like an upside down heart, and if you're speaking into the right side of it, that just gives your microphone the best chance of picking up your voice and rejecting sounds from the back, which will be the reflections of your voice from the wall. Tip number four is to try and move your microphone closer to your mouth, because this in turn will allow you to turn down the gain of your microphone, which will improve your signal to noise ratio. The signal being your voice, which is what you want to be able to hear, and the noise being everything that you don't want to be able to hear, so reflections or keyboard sounds or fan noise or things like that. So you can improve that ratio by moving your microphone closer to your mouth. Finally, tip number five is to make use of the audio filters that are built into software like OBS Studio or Streamlabs OBS. Things like noise suppression and noise gates can make a massive difference to the environment that you're recording in and the actual audio that gets sent out to your videos or to your streams. If you want to check out any of the products that we've talked about or tested in this video, I will leave some affiliate links down in the description below so you can check them out if you wish to. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the Gaming Careers channel, have a look around at some of the videos and consider subscribing. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
There were a couple other things that Twitch did add which are good. I want to talk about really quickly.
Is that how it is though? So I bring up all the bad points of
yeah,
Twitch.
exactly.
Then it comes over to you and you get to talk about the new features. Okay, I see.
I'll let you be the bad guy. And
okay,
I'll just be
bad cop, good cop.
the good. Yeah, exactly. It's how we do it around here.